If you have thin lips and want to make them look fuller with makeup, the trick isn't just overlining, it's knowing where to add shape, light, and dimension. The first thing we're going to do is use a scrub to remove any dead skin that we have on our lips, especially when you want to use a really deep color on your lips as well. I like to use my finger and just really rub into my lip because that really helps getting rid of all the little dead skin that I might have. Sometimes, especially during winter, your lips might be a little bit drier as well, so it's a step that you cannot miss. So this is a step you can never skip. You always need to make sure you exfoliate your lips in order to get a perfect lip application. Always remember to remove all the excess that you might end up getting on your skin. Sometimes I like to use my brush that I have the leftover foundation on it and just adjust the foundation if I end up rubbing anything out. The next step is to get your lip liner. Now, one step that a lot of people actually forget when they're doing the lip liner is to sharpen the pencil. The best way I find to always do my lip liners is to have my elbow resting on a table because this way I'm going to get stability, my hand's not going to be shaky, and they're actually going to give me a much more precise application. Another really good tip as well is to have your pinky resting on your chin. As you can see here, I have my pinky and that also helps me guiding that pencil in a way that actually going to give me a really precise line. I always like to start from the center of the lip on the bottom. I know some other artists start from the corners. That's fine, whatever suits you, but I prefer to start from the center. When I get to the corners, just notice how I actually turn my pencil slightly sideways, because that way also it's going to give me more precision and I get the line done correctly. For the top lip, I also start doing the center first. And notice how I'm like just gently overdrawing my lip. I want to create the illusion that the lips is slightly fuller, but I don't want my lip to look fake at the same time. So I am following the exact same shape and I'm just overdrawing a tiny little bit. Because the pencil I'm using is darker as well than the lipstick I'm going to be applying, that's also going to help adding a little bit more dimension. One thing you can't forget is to go all the way on the corners. I know it can be a little bit uncomfortable, but you need to bring the color all the way to the corners because otherwise, when you open your mouth and you're talking, you can see a gap on both sides. Once you've done your first round of the liner, you can go around, have a look, see if it's even, and adjust anything that needs adjustment. I always like to use my pencil on a back and forwards motion as well because I feel like that also gives me a lot more precision with my line work. Everyone works a little bit differently. I always like to tell everyone to choose a technique that suits you. Now, once I'm happy with the liner, I'm gonna get a clean cotton bud and I'm gonna adjust the edges. For the lipstick, I'm using this beautiful color, also by Krylon, and I find that pair really well with the lip liner that I used before. This is a shade that looks really natural on my skin tone as well. And you see, my lip now is looking really dark. But once I put the pink on top and we blend the edges, ends up looking a lot more natural. So I'm going to apply the lipstick in the center of the lip. I'm going to mix the two colors and we're going to intensify the shade as well. Now, here's the other little trick. I use a clean synthetic brush and I blend the edges. So that means I'm actually blending the color of the lip liner inside the lipstick color. I don't want that line to be too harsh as it is at the moment. I want that to be a really nice diffusion between one color to the other, meaning the outside will be darker, giving a little bit more dimension to my really thin lips. And you're always going to be using a synthetic brush because we are working with a cream product, which is a lipstick. So you want a synthetic brush that you can actually use to mix those two colors. I like these brushes that have this kind of semi-round shape at the end because I find easier to work with them. Some other artists prefer to use an angled brush for this application, but then again, I feel like everything comes down to preference. Now, if you overblend a little bit, you can always go back to your lip liner and readjust anything that needs adjustment. I felt like I overblended the top a little bit too much, so I couldn't really see that dimension as much. So I went back to the lip pencil and I just applied a little bit more on the top lip. Now again, going back with the lipstick, I'm also applying another layer of the lipstick to ensure I'm actually blending those two shades and making it look nice and natural. And here's the other trick. With this really small synthetic brush, I'm going to use a little bit of the leftover concealer I have. And we're going to clean the edges of the lip. Before I use the clean cotton bud just to remove the excess, now we're gonna define the shape with a very small brush. The same concealer color that you use on your face, that's fine. You can use a little bit of foundation as well, that's also fine. And all I'm doing here is just basically defining the shape. I want to sharpen the lip. I want the lip to be extremely sharp and really defined. And as you can see, I like to use the back and forwards motion to create my line work. Again, everyone works a little bit differently, but this is a way that really works for me. With my finger, I just blend out a little bit if I feel like the concealer is looking a little bit too strong. Again, that's also fine. Just make sure you don't actually put your finger on the lipstick. Now, another good trick as well when you're trying to create dimension is to use a much lighter shade of the lipstick right in the center of the lip. I'm using the lighter shade on this lipstick wheel and I'm applying a little bit just with my finger and just in the center of the lip. And this is how you make your thin lip look full. If you like this tutorial and you want to learn a little bit more about makeup, subscribe to my channel.